Tonight we'll read a little of Nisargadatta. He says, as long as you are interested in your present way of living, you will shirk from the final leap into the unknown. To be quiet and detached, beyond the reach of all self-concern, all selfish consideration, is an inescapable condition of liberation. Of the unknowable, only silence talks. The mind can talk only of what it knows. If you diligently investigate the knowable, it dissolves, and only the unknowable remains. But with the first flicker of imagination and interest, the unknowable is obscured, and the known comes to the forefront. The known, the changing, is what you live with. So, what he's leading you into right now is the fact that how we live and what we are, or what we think we are, is that which is always changing. Always changing. But he says, there is something in you that never changes. He refers to the changing as the knowable, and that which never changes as the unknowable. But if you look inside and just ask yourself, what is it in me that never changes? What has never changed?
Avoidance. The complaining.
Right. Right. But that which we complain about changes. The complaining. That which never changes. That which never changes. That which sees what is changing, but in and of itself never changes. It's
The seer.
Yes. 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 The body changes. Clearly the body changes. The body changes. The thoughts are constantly changing. The feelings, the emotions are constantly changing. The senses are always changing. Everything's changing. What is it that doesn't change? The awareness of all these things doesn't change. You're always aware, right? That same awareness when you were 3 and 33 and 53, that same awareness is here right now. It never changed. What it was aware of changed, but it hasn't changed. But isn't it interesting? We identify ourselves with that which is changing and not with that which never changes. So, he goes on to say, the unchangeable is of no use to you. But it is only when you are satiated with the changeable and long for the unchangeable that you are ready to turn inward. Right. But you see, we get so easily distracted. And just a little bit of happiness or a little bit of a promise of something, or a chaotic thing or a tragic thing, we immediately latch on to that. And so we identify with that. But all this is happening in the context of that which is not changing. But we lose it. We don't stay with it because we've not identified with it. Purity of body and clarity of mind, non-violence and selflessness in life are essential for survival as an intelligent and spiritual entity. Purity of body, clarity of mind, non-violence and selflessness are essential for the survival as an intelligent and spiritual entity.
What do you think he means by purity of body?
Keeping the body healthy, keeping the body free from the stresses and the strains that the mind imposes on the body. Body is an instrument, cleaning it and taking care of it. Right? As best we can. And clarity of mind. Clarity of mind. How can there be clarity of mind if we lose sight of awareness? If we lose sight of that which we fundamentally are, how can there be clarity of mind? It's so difficult, right? Because we don't see, we really can't see, we really can't hear, and so we really don't know. Because all perception is filtered through this me, this past. The me is the past. It's old. The only thing new is in this now moment. But everything we think, we see, we interpret, we hear is filtered through this me, this past. So how can we have clarity of mind?
So, so you can't have clarity of mind if your ego has the microphone, is center stage, because if your ego is controlling things, you're either going to be pursuing desires, and then you're either going to get frustrated because you won't get what you want. And then when you get what you want, it'll last for a little bit, but you'll be quickly back into wanting something else. Or the ego may be directing you to look backward and be running from your fears and your regrets. So clearly you can't have a clarity of mind if you're full of desire and fear.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, yes.
When I hear the word desire, I don't think of it as a negative. I think of it as I do think of it as part of my being. I look at it as curiosity. And I know that if the desire is for something material, let's say, it means nothing.
Mhm.
That I know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know, because it's not.
I mean, desire for beauty or the infinite. Maybe that's.
But
Mhm.
but thank you. But the desire for being amongst
Mhm.
people of a common mind,
Mhm.
people who have integrity, people who are honest.
Mhm.
To me, I don't understand it as part of ego.
Mhm.
Well, most desires, though, don't fall into that category.
Of what I said?
Yeah, most of our
Oh.
desires are,
Okay.
right? But yeah, well, what's the one desire to cultivate? The desire to have a clarity of mind.
And this
And-
is part
right?
of the pursuit.
Yeah. Well, if I really desired having a clarity of mind, I probably would, be turning my attention inward rather than chasing my next desire.
Right. Right, I would have to do that.
Right, like saying, oh, look at that mind, it wants to chase that.
Exactly, yes. That's when you're back, that's when you turn inward toward the awareness. And awareness is now shining the spotlight on this me and how it reaches outward. Because you see, it's interesting. It can even be the me that's wanting the higher road. So,
So that would become unsatisfied.
that's right.
So that
That's right, because it
Okay,
has,
okay.
you see,
Yeah,
it has
because
an
it's still
agenda.
It's a pursuit that's,
Any kind of pursuit except what's happening now with the present
well, yeah,
is
yeah,
off,
I
on
got it,
off.
I got it.
That's right,
I got it.
it's a pursuit
Okay,
that
thank
will aggrandize the me. And we have to be aware of that.
It's like nothing's ever missing now, and nothing's lacking or missing.
That's
Because if you think, oh, I don't have that, I have to go out and get it, but that's because you think that something's incomplete,
That's
the present is incomplete.
That's right.
It's hard to get, of course, but that's what's happening,
Well, yeah.
There's nothing but God, and God is here and now, not yesterday, tomorrow, it's all here, everything's revealed and is, and just celebrate, enjoy, that's what else can you do?
Right. Yes. But most people come, we all come, with a sense of a lack, insufficient, not good enough. Right. That's our conditioning. That's how we live our life.
Poverty mentality.
That
Poverty mentality.
a poverty mentality. Yes. So
And we're reminded of it, we're bombarded
Constantly.
with the commercials. I was
Constantly.
just telling someone else earlier today, when we were walking in Florida past where they were building these condominiums, and they had this huge sign up, and the advertisement for this new high-rise was, "Nothing you need, everything you desire."
That says it all.
That's
Isn't
too
that,
funny.
it's just really,
And that's something to strive for.
yeah.
It's very-
And most of us, when we're
It's
feeling,
celebrated.
like materially deprived or yearning for something, it's not something we need.
Yeah.
Most of our needs are pretty well met, but it's the desire to have more.
Was there a sign next to it, sold out?
Two left.
Get
Yeah,
hooked.
right.
No, the true answer to that question is, They are all sold out. Listen, by people who are hardly ever there,
Yeah, right.
Oh, don't we know that?
right?
Yeah.
So it's purely just to satisfy a
Sounds
desire.
familiar.
That's
Yeah,
it.
they really didn't need it. It's so
Right,
true.
exactly, right, yeah.
It's everything you desire, nothing you need.
Yeah, you don't even need to live here.
So he goes on to say, and selflessness are essential for survival as an intelligent and spiritual entity. Purity of body, clarity of mind, non-violence. Now, we've spoken about this before, and I think it's so important because violence isn't just the obvious violent, killing someone, hitting somebody, being verbally abusive to somebody. Violence is deep inside of us with every kind of resentment, every kind of pettiness, every kind of wanting one up. There are so many ways that violence appears and stirs itself inside of us. And so that's why it's also very important to shine the spotlight of awareness on the violence in us, the subtle ways it appears, and how it separates us from others and divides us from others.
Perfect.
Right, right.
And
That's-
separates us from
I'm sorry.
And it separates us from ourself, our awareness.
Oh, yes, yes. That clouds over
You wanted to speak.
the beauty that you really are.
Oh,
So it's important that to have clarity, to be nonviolent, is to be able to really see what goes on inside here. But once it's seen, it must not be condemned, it must not be beat up on, it must not be, you can't perpetrate more violence
On yourself,
on yourself.
for seeing that you were violent.
Really, that's so important. That's so important because Nisargadatta someplace said, if there is any sin, that's the greatest sin. What we do to ourselves when we're unhappy with ourselves, when we see that we've been less than we thought we were, when we're disappointed in some kind of anger or pettiness or frustration or resentment. That's when we must be truly loving to this me and not condemn it. So to be able to see it, that violence that has arisen, but not to condemn it, just to see it and release it. See it and release it. Do not let it take hold.
Krishnamurti called it being choicelessly aware.
Yes. Choicelessly aware. Beautiful. That's what he would say. To be choicelessly aware. Then I have no evaluation of it. I have no comment over it. There's no like, there's no dislike. It's just seeing. Seeing the book on the table. I see it, there's a seeing. I don't like it, I don't dislike it, it just is. That's how we have to be able to look inside at whatever comes up. And you see, I repeat again, that's true meditation. Moment by moment, to shine awareness on what arises. And the fact that you can see it means you can't be it. You cannot be that which you see. Otherwise you wouldn't see it. So whatever it is you see, you cannot be. But yet we believe that we are that. We identify with that. What a horrible person. It's just not true. And that every single person can experience and know for oneself. It has nothing to do with belief. You know for yourself. What you see, you can't be. So stop identifying with what you see. And then you're free. So, he goes on. Reality is not a shapeless mass, a wordless chaos. It is powerful, aware, blissful. And compared to it, your life is like a candle to the sun.
Say that again?
It's beautiful. So now what he's describing is what he's calling the unknowable, or what has been called God, or what has been called the absolute, or cosmic consciousness, or your true nature. And he says, it is not a shapeless mass, a wordless chaos. It is powerful, aware, blissful. And compared to it, your life, the way you're living it now, and what you take yourself to be now, is like the light of a candle compared to the sun. So your true nature is like the light of the sun, and we're living life from the light of a candle. The man says to him, by the grace of your God and your teachers, you lost all desire and fear and reached the immovable state. My question is simple. How do you know that your state is immovable? Because remember, he said in the beginning that we live from everything that's always changing and moving. But his consciousness is from a place that is immovable. So this question says, how do you know this? And he says, only the changeable can be thought of and talked about. The unchangeable can only be realized in silence. Once realized, it will deeply affect the changeable itself, which remains unaffected. So in other words, how do I know? I can't put it into words, he's saying. I know it because I am it. The only thing that you can keep talking about is everything that's changing. Realize your true nature. Realize and identify with that in you which is changeless, and you will know.
And again, I was just thinking, so he says, so identify with that. That's the crucial thing. Identify with the light of that sun rather than the little candle.
Yeah.
And so, well, how is that done? How do I shift my identity? And then I guess it goes back to what he said earlier, is withdrawing attention from all those things that make me want to chase, right? If I stop chasing the baubles, right? And more energy comes to reside within me. You know, more energy, more of an attention on my inner self. It's like bringing the energy back. I guess that's, and so the more you bring the energy back, the candle starts to get bigger.
Yes. Yes.
And you start glowing.
It's like even an oxygen.
Say again?
It's like giving it oxygen.
Right.
Correct.
Glows even in the dark?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So it's bringing the oxygen back to heat, to center, rather than dispersing it all out there.
Because you are the light that lights up the darkness, and you are the light that lights up the light.
That's beautiful.
You are the light of the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's called light. It's the ultimate light. So he's also saying here that this awareness is your witnessing consciousness, right? That awareness is able to witness. And in answer to Paul's question, well, how do we do this? Right? He says, watch yourself closely, and you will see that whatever be the content of consciousness, the witnessing of it does not depend on the content, right? You have all this content of consciousness, all the thoughts, all the fears, all the hopes, all the memories, all the projections. That's your content of consciousness, all your opinions, all your conclusions. That's the content of your consciousness, right? And if you shine the spotlight of awareness on it, you would see it, right? And if you really watched it moment by moment, boy, you'd be so surprised. All that, right, that keeps arising and leaving, coming and going, coming and going. So he's saying, watch yourself closely, and you'll see that whatever be the content of your consciousness, the witnessing of it doesn't depend on the content. The witnessing isn't affected by the content. The awareness is aware of, but it's not affected by it, no matter what the opinion, no matter what the emotion that has come up. Fear, anger, whatever it is, the awareness is not affected by it. It just looks, it just sees, it's aware. Awareness is itself and does not change with the event. The event may be pleasant or unpleasant, minor or important, but awareness is the same. Take note of the peculiar nature of pure awareness, its natural self-identity, without the least trace of self-consciousness. And go to the root of it, and you will soon realize that awareness is your true nature, and nothing you may be aware of you can call your own. It's beautiful. So listen to what he said here. Awareness is its own identity. It doesn't identify with anything. It just is. And in it, there's no self-consciousness, no me consciousness. It's just pure awareness. So that anything that you're aware of, you cannot be. Because you're just awareness. Is that not how we live our life? Is that not everyone's experience?
Well, we believe that we are what we're looking at.
That's right.
Okay. So
That's right.
That's the problem.
That's right. You're right. That's right.
Yeah, no, it's not my experience. My experience is living with identified awareness. I identify with everything practically that comes through my mind. I identify with my fears. I certainly identify with my desires. But yes, the true nature is pure witnessing unidentified awareness.
That's right. And even the identification with everything happens in awareness.
Absolutely, it couldn't happen otherwise.
It can't happen otherwise. So then I can't subtract awareness from anything in my life. It's always there, no matter what appears. So why am I constantly identifying myself with that which I am aware of rather than awareness itself?
Habitual pattern.
It's a pattern, it's a conditioning. And it's also a way for the ego to stay strong, to not lose ground, to stay in control. Because the ego attaches itself to forms. That's what it does. It attaches itself to the body and says, I am this body. And it attaches itself to forms. So then it becomes my house, my car, my husband, right? That's all ego, attaching itself.
Infinite reference points.
Right.
Two things came up for me. The first was that when I came into the room and we greeted one another, to me it was pure love. It was, I never saw them before in my life. I hardly know anybody here. It was real for me. It didn't feel like anything except pure. It was like a mirror. That's how I felt. And then we had a little bit more conversation and we identified certain things, but that feeling, if that's the right word, I don't know, didn't disappear.
Okay.
It was just magic. And that is, to me, the beauty of life.
Mm-hmm.
To walk around and see that all, see it, to see it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't negate some of the fears, it just supports. And what are the fears? I mean, I could go, I'm sure each person in this room, given the circumstances of what's happening in our world today, it's very difficult to let go of the what ifs. And so I don't know, I let go of that. I do let go of it, and it keeps coming back.
Right.
And pisses me off. But the true feeling of love is always there for me.
That's right. That's right.
Even when I don't like something.
Or someone?
Or someone, of course.
Right.
I mean, there's someone in the world today who is the way that person is. Or seems to be, because he's all ego. And in my heart of hearts, he's not really that.
Right.
There's something underneath. And it's like the miracle would be for him to see the light. But it's upsetting. And then,
Yes.
so it's hard for me to separate that belief. And the belief, or not the belief, I'm not even going to say it, it's not a belief, of this pure love.
That's right. That's right.
So there's always a difficulty, there's always a conflict, even though one can bring up that awareness.
There's only a difficulty and a conflict when we resist.
Thank you.
We don't resist.
Thank you.
You're back to your natural being of love. So, he goes on. When the content of your consciousness is viewed without likes and dislikes, the consciousness of it is awareness. So that's a great key. That's a clue. Because you might say, well, how do I know when I'm being aware of the content of my consciousness that it's not the ego itself that's looking at it? Right? Well, in the looking, if there are no likes or dislikes, there's no comment, there's no movement of thought or thinking, there's just the seeing, the witnessing. That's awareness. Because remember, awareness it is not affected, it has no agenda, it has no me. It's the me that criticizes.
Chooses.
It's the me that chooses, right? It's the me that condemns. It's the me that hates. And it is also the me that seems to love. But love that's changing is not love. But whatever is arising in the moment, once the spotlight of awareness is shining on it, without any comment, you've now loosened the hold of the me, and you're in your true being. And that's really what meditation was supposed to be, and what self-inquiry is supposed to be. Getting to that realization of that background of who and what we truly are. So now this person says to him, well, listen, this is the questioner. I'm coming to you because I am in trouble. I'm a poor soul lost in a world I do not understand. I'm afraid of Mother Nature who wants me to grow, procreate, and die. When I ask for the meaning and the purpose of all this, she doesn't answer. I come to you because I was told that you are kind and wise. You talk about the changeable as false and transient, and this I can understand. But when you talk of the immutable, I feel lost. Not this, not that, beyond knowledge, of no use. Why talk of it at all? Does it exist, or is it a concept only, a verbal opposite of the changeable? Nisargadatta says, it is. It alone is. But in your present state, it is of no use to you. Just like the glass of water near your bed is of no use to you when you dream that you are dying of thirst in a desert. I am trying to wake you up, whatever your dream. Oh, the man says to him, please don't tell me that I'm dreaming and that I'll soon wake up. I wish it were so. But I am awake, and I'm in pain. You talk of a painless state, but you add that I cannot have it in my present condition. I feel lost. He says, Nisargadatta, don't feel lost. I only say that to find the immutable and blissful, you must give up your hold on the mutable and painful. You are concerned with your own happiness, and I'm telling you, there is no such thing. Happiness is never your own. It is where the I, the me, is not. I do not say it's beyond your reach. You have only to reach out beyond yourself and you will find it. So he said to him, the reason I'm telling you that this isn't for you is because you're still so full of this me. And what you're searching for still has to do with the me, my happiness, my contentment. And that can't be if you're looking for that which is immutable, the absolute, the blissful, your true nature. You're not going to find it through the me. That's what he said to me. Yes, Fred.
So we think we're happy,
Mm-hmm.
but in reality, if we're thinking we're happy because we have something we like, or in reality we're not, or is it we are momentarily experiencing happiness because we're not identified with that? You know what I'm saying? It gets a little confusing that we feel like we're happy, but in reality, if we're, it's our ego that's happy, we really can't be.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet, because our true nature is happiness, you know, he calls it bliss or happiness. You know happiness. But the only way you know happiness at this point, because we're living through this ego, is by an object outside yourself giving you that happiness. You feel it's outside yourself. So when I get this, or when I get that, or when I buy this or that, or acknowledgement of this or that, there's this feeling of happiness. But you know, it fades. And sometimes it lasts longer than other times, but eventually it fades. But what he's talking about is the happiness that doesn't fade, because it's not dependent on an outside object. It's already in you, it's you. It's you without the me. But you see, we're all searching for that, because it's almost like wanting to get back to ourselves. It's like we think we're searching for something we've lost, and in a way we've lost it because we've not realized it inside ourselves. But we must know it, otherwise why would we be looking for it? And what happens is we do get it temporarily. And it feels so wonderful. But we know it doesn't last. So he said to this man, the happiness that you're looking for, your happiness, you're not going to find that. Because it's dependent on that me. The happiness you really want is the happiness that will last. And you know, whenever the me is not, you feel pretty happy. When the me is not, there's no fear. There's no wanting anything else. There's no looking for anything. It feels full. And then you are that light. Because you are that light. We have to to switch the focus to that awareness. He goes on. He says, assiduously watch your ever-changing life. Probe deeply into the motives behind your actions, and you will soon pick the bubble in which you are enclosed. A chick needs the shell to grow, but a day comes when the shell must be broken. If it is not, there will be suffering and death. So he's saying here, obviously very clearly, again, watch. Watch what's going on inside you. Watch your life unfolding. Watch it. And by the more you're watching it, just observing, without commenting, without getting on the train with it and making it be a whole big drama, but just watching what appears, letting it go. You're weakening this me. You're weakening the me. And then, just like that chick that comes out of the shell, it starts dropping away. Because he's saying here, if we keep inside this me bubble, if we live the rest of our life inside this me shell, there's no place to go but heartache. Heartache, suffering, sadness. So, moment by moment, we have an opportunity to pick through that shell. And you know, it's got to be effortless. It can't be forced. And it can't even be, that's why he says, watch your motivation.
That was great.
That's right. You must watch the motivation, what motivates you. Because you find with motivation is usually motivated by this me. So even the wanting to get out of the shell can't be from the me. It's got to be because I love the taste of peace. And it's calling me.
Could you use the word freedom?
Freedom. It's one and the same. Freedom, peace, beauty, love. It's the same. And you love the taste of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you want. That's what everyone wants. He says, be satisfied with watching the flow of your life. If your watchfulness is deep and steady, ever turn toward the source, it will gradually move upstream till suddenly it becomes the source. Put your awareness to work, not your mind. The mind is not the right instrument for this task. The timeless can be reached only by the timeless. Awareness is timeless. Awareness is outside of time because it's aware of time. Your body and mind are both subject to time. Only awareness is timeless, even in the now. In awareness, you are facing facts, and reality is fond of facts. The person says to him, you rely entirely on my awareness to take me over and not on a guru or a God. Nisargadatta says, God gives the body and the mind, and the guru shows the way to use them. But returning to the source, to your true being, is your own task. The person says, well, God has created me and he'll look after me. Oh, Nisargadatta says, there are innumerable gods, each in his own universe. They create and recreate eternally. Are you going to wait for them to save you? What you need for your salvation is already within your reach. Use it. Investigate what you know to its very end, and you will reach the unknown layers of your being. Go further, and the unexpected will explode in you and shatter all. The person says, does it mean death? Nisargadatta, it means life at last.
I was thinking something that's kind of weird, but that in trades and building and crafts, when we finally master it, it's like we lose interest. When we finally get good at something, you don't want to do it anymore. I was kind of comparing that with life itself. That when we finally master the art of living, we no longer want to live it the way we used to, of course.
The way we used to.
That's the key.
Right. That's right.
And also, Bill, I thought you were gonna say when you master a craft or a skill, then it takes less conscious energy. You can almost do it, mindlessly or automatically.
Becomes second nature, right?
Second nature, right. And I guess it's the same here. Then living becomes, free. It's like effortless.
Champa calls it naturally occurring timeless awareness.
Say again.
Say again.
Naturally occurring timeless awareness.
Ah, yes.
Who
Okay.
says that?
Long Champa.
Naturally occurring timeless awareness. Mhm. Awareness is timeless.
And it's naturally occurring.
It's always here. It always is.
Mhm.
It's never not here. Right? It's never not here.
So does it take a lifetime? As a child growing up, they start out that way, and then layer upon layer upon layer builds up. And in my experience, growing older is another gift. It's like all of a sudden the layers drop off.
Yes.
And it's about telling the truth. All the lies are just.
I was thinking that exact same analogy of when you're born, you're completely aware, and then over time, things get piled on top of it, right?
Right.
And society and parents and the whole
Yes,
nine yards.
yes, yes.
And at some point, you realize that, where am I in all this? So how did I lose that awareness, right?
Yeah.
And you try to peel off all the layers and all the, to get back to that simple
That's right.
appreciation and enjoyment and,
Right.
Well, it's like we've said many times, first you have to find yourself, arrive at a self that functions in the everyday world, so you can make your way. But once that's accomplished and pretty well effortless, then the next chance to grow is to lose yourself.
That's right. What is the experience when you sit very still and put the awareness to the movement of thought, and there's a seeing that no thought is moving?
You see that no thought is moving, the thought is standing still.
It's empty. No thought is moving.
No thought. There's no thought, or there is a thought, but it's not moving.
No, nothing. It's empty.
Oh.
You can do it with your eyes open or closed. Then you see how soon thought appears. And then there's a space. Can you stay for a second in the space between thoughts? That's the sacred space.
That's where you want to go when you meditate, basically.
See, that's where you are.
Right.
And
The rest of it is just chatter.
That's the background, the space, the openness.
So how does one use this in everyday life?
Yes, yes. Watching when that which is not your true nature is arising. When the me is arising.
Okay.
That's all just
So
a
you're
watch.
functioning in life,
Absolutely.
you're doing your life,
Oh, sure.
and then you see that
Yes.
creep in.
You see the
And then you
me.
let
Yeah, you see the me.
go away.
You just see it. You don't even tell it to go away. You just see it. The seeing of it puts a pin in it.
It has no ultimate reality in the first place.
When you're with people
Mm.
who are not in this state of, I'll call it being,
Mm.
That's the tough part.
wait,
They keep on putting you in your
all right,
ego.
wait. I'm sorry, but I've never done this before. I'm aware of it, very aware of it, but I've never done it in this framework. I've noticed myself where I stop. Like I'm doing now. And some people become very impatient with me. I don't want to do that chattering all the time. It's exhausting. So for me, the challenge in this type of awareness now, I don't want to say this because it's like, it feels like me and my ego and all of that again, that I want to do it quickly. I want to see that awareness and still be able to relate to someone.
Well, you don't want to see, you can't see the awareness, you want to be aware
Be
of.
aware, excuse me,
Yeah,
it's
be
not seeing because,
yeah. Be aware of what?
and then just, it's again producing some sort of completion. So I'm a little confused, I guess, right now.
Well, listen, how do you proceed? Be careful what you say yes to.
Oh, yeah.
Be careful what you resist.
Okay.
And when you find yourself in the presence of someone who seems very self-identified and causes a reaction in you, to be able to watch that reaction rise and let it pass through you and try to be an open space for the other person to appear in. And then when you've had enough, do an about face and leave.
I got you.
I like that last part.
I've had enough.
That's
I've had enough, I'm leaving. I've had enough, I'm leaving. I had enough of you, goodbye.
Apropos of that, we tried to find this a couple of weeks ago. It was in the basement. It was relevant to a conversation we were having, and I wasn't able to locate it. But yesterday I found it in the basement. And this is Lao Tzu. You want to read this out?
Oh, and this is so beautiful. This is from the 6th century BC, Lao Tzu. This is what he says. Yield and overcome. Bend and be straight. Empty and be full. Wear out and be new. Have little and gain. Have much and be confused. Therefore, wise men embrace the one and set an example to all. Not putting on a display, they shine forth. Not justifying themselves, they are distinguished. Not boasting, they receive recognition. Not bragging, they never falter. They do not quarrel, so no one quarrels with them. Therefore the ancients say, yield and overcome. Is that an empty saying? Be really whole, and all things will come to you. 6th century BC. So you know, it's interesting what you brought up because Thanksgiving is next week. We won't be meeting. And so many people this week have brought in issues about family and getting together and having anxieties about how to be with family members. So how do I stay in open awareness with compassion and clarity? when what's coming towards you is a lot of me's, a lot of egos.
Well, I think compassion is, like you said, is a big part of it. Because we all suffer from not being present all the time, even if we are sometimes.
Yes,
It's
yes.
just a degree, unless we're really enlightened.
So to be present in that situation, be present, be open with compassion.
You love them no matter what they're doing, what they do or say. Just, oh yeah, really? I love you, I love you. I don't care what, that's it. Just keep sending the love, no matter what they say, what they do.
Right.
That's as simple.
Don't react.
Mm-hmm.
No self, no problem.
That's right. That's right. So that's how most people live their lives, though. Having to interact with a lot of egos that,
And to keep my own ego in check.
but that's the only thing, that's the practice moment by moment,
Right.
is watching what's arising in here. And watching for violence. That's really important. And remembering not to forget that you are the witness of it all. You're the witnessing consciousness. You're the witnessing awareness. You are that light that lights it all up.
But I was just thinking that in the context of all the family activity, it's almost like an ego is a defense against other egos.
Right.
You know, it's like a
Sure.
way of somehow protecting ourselves from things we think we need to protect ourselves from, and in reality don't, I guess. You know,
We're afraid of judgment, that's the whole thing. People looking at us and finding fault and judging us. So we gotta watch out.
right.
Judge not.
So if we all, right, ideally let go of it, everyone would sort of embrace collectively that witnessing consciousness, right? And together we would have what? I'm sort of asking a question, I don't know the answer to the question, but it feels like we could collectively experience something that we typically don't, because we are so, our ego so protects our true nature from other people's true nature, that we don't get to experience that from each other.
But wouldn't there be just an open, spacious joyfulness?
You know, when you were talking, Krishnamurti had a wonderful, beautiful expression. What there would be the flowering of goodness.
Ah, yes. Yes. That's
The flowering of goodness.
yes.
Reminds me of Marilyn Powell, The Razor's Edge, that's the last scene. There was goodness, a good person.
yes.
I mean,
Yes.
and everybody just feels this incredible yes. We need
That's
more of these
That's
beings, these goodness. We have to see
And
goodness.
that's what humanity is suffering from,
Right,
right?
Mhm.
The lack of goodness.
right,
You know, Krishnamurti used to say, if you're quiet, you could hear the suffering of people, right? He really felt he could feel that, humanity suffering.
that's it, it's acceptance and forgiveness, 24/7, 365. We all have to do it with each other. Do it.
And look at the contradiction. Last week, something we read where they were saying, look at the genius of human intelligence. I mean, just look at the genius capability of our intelligence as human beings, what we're able to accomplish with just our intellect, you know, all the benefits of modern technology and all that. And so we have this huge human intelligence, this genius on the one side, and this suffering humanity on the other. It's just, there's the paradox. And I guess, you know, so, and in the middle is the me, right? The me.
See, but the flowering of goodness is not that which is the opposite of bad. That goodness doesn't really have an opposite. That goodness is pure. And because it's pure, it's part of your true nature. It's part of reality, the true reality, not the false reality that we live. And that's why when you experience it in another person, it pulls it out in you. And that's why there's such an attraction to goodness. So it always starts inside yourself, because that's where it all is. The goodness, the beauty, the openness.
The kingdom of goodness is within you. Now.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, the queendom of goodness.
The queendom, the kingdom. Actually, it has no gender, because you have no gender.
That's right.
You just are.
I just kind of have a little conflict with, just came to me that if it wasn't for the challenges that we all have, we would not have the need to overcome them. Therefore, we wouldn't have to struggle with what you call negativity. So it's really all life. It's life. It's just energy vibrating.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it is. Because life is for the living. Life is energy, just constantly moving. The moment we start vibrating, that's flat line dead. So we no longer are living as we know as humans.
But are we living when we are living from this me?
It's the
Is that
candle
real
versus
life?
the sun.
That's right.
Candle
The
living
candle
versus
to the sun.
sun living.
That's right. That's right.
Well, what's that expression, you're hiding your light under the bushel?
Right.
Say that
Don't
again.
hide your light under
Yeah, is that a biblical expression?
Yeah.
What
I
expression?
don't know.
Don't hide your light under a bushel. Put it on the top of the table so those who come in can be full of light and clarity and awareness. So light is, they didn't have the word consciousness or awareness
That's right.
in the ancient world, so light was the closest.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And it is light.
It's like the whole human race is living in a dark room, and you need somebody to come in and just flick the light.
Well, that's what he was saying here. I just want to help you wake up. So we're sleepwalking.
Yeah, but you need the people to be receptive to the opening their minds, right?
Yes.
Because you have all these people that are offering these things, and it's not necessarily resonating with them.
That's right. That's right.
Well, that gets back to also, Chip, what we were saying before, is that you probably don't get interested in this until you've had a functioning self that, you know, that is pretty well put together, and then you begin to think about, well, what else is there? Right? What's the next level in my, you know, where
Is this
my-
it? Is this all there is? There must be
Yeah,
something.
there must be some, that's it.
And I guess behind it all, even at the lower needs level, so to speak, behind it all is the wanting to be happy.
Yeah.
Truly happy,
Truly
Right.
happy.
not evanescent.
That's what
That's right.
everybody really wants, to be happy. And
Yes.
so then once you satisfy your happiness at the level of food, clothing, shelter, creativity, or whatever, then the next thing, level of happiness that calls is, you know, maybe wanting to get free of the me, so to speak. If you happen to come across some way that it comes to your attention, or you're called by something to go to a group or something.
And sometimes maybe it just takes, not just, it takes knowing that you're about to die, or
This
Yeah.
is
there's
true.
you know, that
That's right.
it might,
Yes.
you know.
Sure.
Yes. It can be a great sadness
Mhm.
or a great love,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
a great beauty.
Yeah.
That you begin to say, wait a minute, there's something else. There has to be something else.
I stand at the door knocking, which is like an interesting,
That's it.
because that's that resonance thing, you know, where, you know, like on a piano, if you push down a key but you don't strike the string of the piano,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you have another instrument that plays that note, that string starts to vibrate. So it's the same with information and knowledge and light. You know, if you allow yourselves to be enlightened, because it's here, right? That information is here now. We're getting it. But we've typically pushed all the dampers down, so we don't resonate.
That's right. That's
But those references are really interesting because they are kind of acoustic, you know.
right.
That's a great
Yeah.
comparison,
I s-
because it's sort of, it's really saying that we're all, what I'm hearing anyways, that we're all really connected, period, right, which we are,
Yes.
but that, and if we, you know, that vibration, yeah, that's a great,
That's right. That's right.
And also this idea that there are people that have this information and have knowledge, and it's not that they're not compassionate, it's that basically we block ourselves off from hearing it or from resonating with it for whatever reason, you know. So, you know, so you were talking a few weeks back when I was talking about how many people it would take in Haiti, how many enlightened men.
Yeah.
But it's this idea that it's not just about us overcoming these problems, you know, whatever they may be, you know, political or, you know, health or, you know, survival or whatever. It's more about us becoming aware of who we are
The resonate.
and the resonance,
Yes.
you know. So because otherwise those guys, if you believe people like that exist, they could come in and do that. But then what would happen to all this? What would happen to each of our individual choices, each of our individual lives? In other words, each of us are choosing to resonate or to put the dampers down or not.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that's that incredibly profound part of our heritage, our birthright, which is we get to choose what we resonate with. We get to choose what we express, what we what's the word, reverberate. What we express. We get to choose what we express.
Well, I guess though, with the Haiti example, right?
Yeah.
One might say, well, and just to clarify the Haiti example, we were saying a couple of weeks back, talking about how the whole global consciousness still seems pitched very much at a survival level of consciousness. Me first, my needs first. Most people are dominated by self-interest, self-protection, and self-expansion.
Right.
And so we said, well, Haiti is certainly a place that personifies that, since everybody seems to go to Haiti and try to fix it, but it never works. The corruption just wears every good doer down, and the place just can't get off. They can't fix Haiti. You know, they have articles in the Times. How do we fix Haiti? So we were fantasizing a couple of weeks back, if you had a team of commandos, these all self-actualized, self-realized individuals who had no ego and no agenda, but they were all engineers, physicians, civil engineers, hospital administrators, everything you would need to transform the place, and go in there. Remove all the corruption, go in there. How long would it take to turn the place around? So, but I think, Chip, you're saying that even if you did that, the people would still be at their particular level of self-identity. So you'd have to also help the resonance grow so that they could, right? But I guess the way to facilitate that is to first make sure their basic needs were met.
Yes, of course,
Right?
of course.
And then,
Yes, that's right.
and certainly Nisargadatta, he was a guy who wasn't living high on the hog. He certainly, all he had was his basic needs being met.
Right.
And all the tobacco he could smoke.
Yes.
And all the tobacco he
Yes,
smoked.
yes, this is true. This is true.
Look at the tea.
So that's why we're so fortunate
Yeah.
that we're at a place where we can look at this, contemplate this. And with that seems to feel like a responsibility that how can I not look at this within my own self and make those changes and free myself of this me and be in a place of realization, because then there is a possibility for it to vibrate, right? And we're so fortunate to be able to do this. I mean, this is a blessing.
Well, there is a world awakening taking place. It's
Oh,
never
for
happened
sure.
before.
Yes.
In this proportion,
Yes.
this,
Yes.
I tell you, even Facebook
Yeah,
has become, depending upon who you friend with,
yeah.
there's a wealth of knowledge and awareness.
Yes, that's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
He's trying to